That's just by virtue of how much his dad posted on social media about him.
I mean, how many players could have got into Young Player of the Year in this as well? But he could have been a viable candidate for Championship or League One Player of the Year as well, because he did spend most of the first half of the season at York, didn't he, on loan?
He did, yeah, until they realised that they desperately needed another player. Yeah. So in third place was Will Price with 19% of the votes. In second place was Arthur Morg with 26% of the votes, and the winner with 40% of the votes was Jack Wellsby.
Well done, Jack.
Can't argue with that. Yeah,
Reigns again.
It's the second time winner, but yeah. So we move on to Coach of the Year, an award that's been occasional.
Yeah.
So we did it the first year. So in 2014 it was Darryl Powell. In 2019 it was Ian Watson, the correct choice, and in 2020 it was Christian Wolff. So again, two hosts have agreed, and fortunately those two hosts are on to talk about him. So who would like to talk about Mac Banana?
You can, Mark.
I just think is the most impressive thing about this Catalan side this year isn't just that they got to the grand final and they won the League Leaders' Shield. Those are great things, but their first choice 17 would be capable of that with the players they've had, with the salary cap spend they'd had, etc., etc. I think what's amazed me is I never thought they had the squad depth to be that consistent this year. Especially with all the extra travel as well you throw into the mix as well. But it's been the development of a fringe of squad players like Arthur Morg, like Matthew Laguerre, like young Joe Chan. You know, I think it's the development of guys like that have filled out the squad. Mikko Gudemon's come back into form. I thought he was kind of waning a bit last year, but this year he's shown he's still around to be a great player. And I think the choice of Ben Garcia as the new captain as well that Steve McNamara made was an outstanding choice, because with all the leaders that you have in that dressing room, Sam Tompkins, James Maloney, people like that, you're not short of leadership and that sort of stuff. But to make the choice that Ben Garcia is the man to be the captain, really I did think united the whole squad, the whole fans behind it all. And I just think he made some really good choices and was successful. So I that's why I went McNamara. And the team weren't fucking boring like the other person who won trophies.
Anything else to add, Sarah?
For me, as much as it's a vote for Steve McNamara, it's actually also a vote for Catalans. You know, they've stuck with him. You know, he was middle eights coach the other year, and suddenly he's won the title. You know, speaks volumes about him as a coach, and also I think the club as a whole to have stuck with him. And I just think he has done a really good job.
Yeah, I don't think I can't really disagree with that. As predictable, David went for Christian Wolff, obviously. Yeah. But
sometimes predictable can be boring. Christian Wolff knows that.
But I went for the left field choice, as it tends to be my want for Coach of the Year, and I went for Tony Smith. As with my selection of Ian Watson in 2019, I always rate a coach who can pull a ragbag bunch of guys together and make them perform well above expectations, which Tony Smith did without question this year. I think some of us had KR 12th, some of them 11th. I think I had him a bit higher actually, but yeah. So nobody expected much from KR, and they massively overachieved. So for me, I always tend to go towards a coach who's done that kind of thing rather than just building on a successful team like Wolff has done, really. But yeah, in terms of overall results, what you said. So in third place with 18% was Christian Wolff. Second place was Steve McNamara with 39% of the vote, and actually quite close this one. The winner was actually Tony Smith, who won 44% of the vote.
Community heroes. Let's talk about those. So a bit of a break before we do our top 2 awards to mention all the people who got shout-outs in the Community Hero category. What I would like to see is more people pulling out more people in this category next year. This year we didn't get an overwhelming response rate in this category, which is a bit of a shame. But everyone who did get a vote are all winners, of course. So one person gave a shout-out to all podcasters, their Community Heroes. Anyone that volunteers is worthy of this, was what one person said, and I absolutely echo that, which is why we want everyone to name someone. Someone said, as an internationalist, I want to shout out Dan Carboni from Chasing Ruse. Yep, excellent work he's doing alongside Phil Brown as well. Blackbrook in St Helens. Craig Richards at Saints, coordinating the community activity alongside his other commitments. Dave Yates. I don't know who Dave Yates is, but you're a community hero, Dave Yates. Jason Woodman of Yorkshire Juniors and Huddersfield Referee Society. Joshua McKenzie.
Well, yeah.
Well, he's blazed a trail for kids. He's showing them you can move clubs and make strides forward. Kevin Sinfield, talking of making strides, obviously Kevin Sinfield got quite a few nods on this. If we were doing it on percentage terms, he'd have won. And what he's going to be doing in a week's time is going to be absolutely otherworldly. So good luck to him. Our friend Lee Whitnall got a shout out, of course, working over at the Newton Storm. Mossy Massoy. We've kind of waved him off now, haven't we, to Australia, Big Mossy, but he's been a real constant in this last 12 months around the sport, kind of making everyone feel more positive about things, I think is the thing you can say about Big Mossy. It certainly brings a smile to everyone's faces and makes you realise that some people can deal with adversity in a way that just blows your mind, and is an exceptional guy. Oral St James got a shout out. Sean Orton, who actually gave himself a shout out, but I'll still read it out because it's a good one. He said he wrote himself into the Sheffield Eagles history books as he became the first ever try scorer for the club's wheelchair rugby league team just 2 minutes into their first game. The Stanningley Club got a shout out. The coach at Hopwood Hall, or the couch at Hopwood Hall got a shout out, and the Warrington Wolves Foundation, who of course keep doing great stuff in their community as well, got a shout out. So well done to all our community heroes. You are all winners.
Yeah, definitely. And then we move on to a very prestigious award, not the most prestigious, but up there. The SLP Player of the Year. Previous winners: 2014, Chris Hill; 2015, Adam Cuthbertson; 2016, Danny Houghton; 2017, Luke Gale; 2018, John Bateman; 2019, Jackson Hastings; 2020, Bevan French. So this award was unanimous by the hosts that voted. David. Should that last one be David?
It should be David, yeah.
Right. Okay. In that case, it was unanimous by all of us. Alan, do you want to defend the choice?
Yeah. That's quite defensive language. I don't think it really needs defending.
Okay,
because she doesn't like it.
Elaborate on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of us non-Wiganers have all had our issues with Sam Tompkins over the years. We all remember certain times where he did certain things to our clubs that we don't like to think about. But yeah, I mean, Sam Tompkins was the Player of the Year. He was the old Player of the Year. He was the whatever age he happened to be Player of the Year. Outstanding in a very good team. This is the thing. Sometimes players can get plaudits for being outstanding in a mediocre team, but Sam Tompkins was probably the best player in a very, very good Catalan team this year. So yeah, for me it was. I didn't even think about giving it to anybody else, which I think says something about how dominant Tompkins has been this year.
Yeah, I agree. I felt aggrieved at having to list a short list because people would moan if we didn't, but it just felt... I feel anyone who voted elsewhere either just focuses on their own club's games, and that's fair enough. And some people do just choose someone from their own club if they don't watch the whole competition. I kind of understand that, and I'm not going to shout people down for that. But anyone else who didn't vote for him, it just didn't vote for him out of spite, because he was clearly the best player in the competition. Sam Tompkins, yeah, awesome this year.
Yeah, so we all voted for Sam Tompkins. 6 non-shortlisted players got votes. Alex Warmsley was the only non-shortlisted player to get multiple votes, though.
That's 2 years in a row he's got multiple votes and been a non-shortlisted player. Maybe we need to shortlist him next year if he goes along again at the same.
Yeah.
Well, he needs to get in the Man of Steel shortlist, doesn't he, to get on the shortlist? Because that's how we drew up the shortlist for this. It was just the Man of Steel shortlist.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't feel like I know, the intricacies behind it.
Well, it was basically put Sam Tompkins on a list and then put a couple of other names on it.
How can I justify putting other names in? I know I'll just do what the Man of Steel panel did.
Yeah, so 7% of voters voted for Jordan Abdul, which, if, like you say, you're somebody that just follows your own club and you're a Rovers fan, then, yeah, Jordan Abdul was very influential. 9% of people, I think, were just wrong voting for Johnny Lermatt. And 65% of people...
They're them spiteful people I talked about.
Okay. And 65% of people... I suppose, yes, they are... they would be St Helens fans, wouldn't they? So, yes, 65% of people went for Sam Tompkins.
Yeah.
So well done, Sam. Again.
I can't remember all of the years, and obviously, I do remember quite well that Luke Gale was very strong winner in 2017 and Bateman in 2018, but I don't think they got close to 65% of the vote. I think 65% of this vote is a big, and this is a category that everyone votes for someone in. No one skips this category that goes on the form. I think it's just testament to the year he's had.
Yeah, undoubtedly, as you say, the only choice. And if we know anything now, we know that we've got 7% KR listeners and 9% Saints listeners. So that's always handy information to know.
Saints listeners.
Yeah, because David went for Sam, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true actually. Okay, 9.5%. So yes, we've messed around with the insignificant awards for long enough. Let's talk about the bigger one. So it
the one
is
everyone's tuning in for.
The one that everyone wants. So it's we'll tell this. This is the timestamp that you need to really get to. So it is the Dr. Bob Phillips Award for Listener of the Year. So previously, apparently, it's been won by somebody called Dr. Bob Phillips in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. Then he took a year off. In 2018, it was Fat Boy Rob. He then won it again, 2P. He came back to win it in 2019, and then there was a new name on the trophy in 2020 when Tom Andrews picked up the prize. So I think it's only fair that we should mention everyone who got at least one vote, I would say, first. So who got votes? Dr. Bob Phillips got votes, obviously. Perennially popular. EFC 78JU.
Save kids, you're going to get votes, aren't you?
Yeah, honestly, these doctors, eh? EFC 78JU got votes, no doubt, for volume of contributions. Fat by Rob, obviously. Grandad Hodgson got a vote.
He's not a listener, but he's part of the family. So
yeah, for his pulling prowess, if nothing else. James Powell got a vote. Carsten got a vote. Neil Ormston got a vote. Paige got a vote. Paul O'Brien got a vote. Scoots got a vote. St David got a vote. Tom Andrews got a vote, just to make sure there's not war in that household. And the Wigan drummer.
I think Sarah actually got multiple votes, as did David, if I remember right. And I think Neil had the next most behind the winner, but we're talking distance. Yeah.
I mean, I will freely admit I voted for Neil because I think he's been, I think it's great that there's been a bit of a challenge to a certain person's stats.
I've voted for Neil as well. I've enjoyed his contribution.